Radu Cinema rose to fame after revealing the unprecedented secret collaboration between the American and Romanian military. Together, they conducted an expedition beneath the Romanian Sphinx in the Busigi Mountains and uncovered what may be the greatest archaeological discovery in history: a secret chamber estimated to be 50,000 years old. Hidden within were holographic records of Earth's history, bioresonance, imaging technology, and 3 mysterious tunnels leading deep into the Earth's core. Despite the monumental discovery being surrounded by political conspiracies, chaos, and heavy restrictions, the expedition leaders still granted Radu Cinema access to explore these artifacts. From that moment on, Radu's life became a labyrinthian adventure filled with strange events, secret connections, and extraordinary people and phenomena. The adventure delves into ancient history in an unprecedented way, using an advanced technological interdimensional helmet that interacts with the author's cerebral cortex and intuition. It presents more than 70 astonishing visual scenes. The result is a series of holographic projections that explain and illustrate the evolution of DNA changes over millennia and how humanity has transformed into its present form. It unveils the mysteries of how various extraterrestrial civilizations influenced and guided human DNA to evolve to a higher level. Some hotspots in human history, such as Atlantis, Troy, Shambhala, and Hyperborea, have long been either unknown or only considered from a mythological perspective. This adventure overturns those uncertain legends by presenting vivid and accurate transmissions through holographic technology, combining esoteric knowledge with certain scientific elements. It places special emphasis on the convergence points between the material dimension and the etheric dimension, as well as the rifts or gateways between dimensions. This captivating work not only reveals the ancient history of humankind, but also portrays a vision of humanity's origins and hopes for the future from a perspective beyond space and time. Noah's Ark, myth or reality? One day, Radu and his mentor Cesar were shown some very peculiar photographs and a report by 2 of their collaborators, majors from the Pentagon. The photos captured an extraordinary artifact unearthed in the Far East, specifically Afghanistan. The object seemed ancient, dating all the way back to the time of the Great Flood described in Middle Eastern lore. The officers were curious. What was the world like during that era? Cesar replied that the biblical Great Flood occurred approximately 5,000 years ago, a time when the entire earth was engulfed in water. Over time, vast lands, even whole continents, were submerged beneath the waves. At this point, Radu recalled something striking he had seen in the projection hall: a holographic vision. Though it only lasted a few seconds, he saw immense regions underwater, stretching from central Turkey down through Syria and Israel. The flood roared in like a tsunami, swallowing everything on both shores of the Mediterranean. Once the water settled, the endless surface was broken only by a few rare trees or an isolated temple. But Radu couldn't tell where the flood came from, or why. Cesar confirmed what he had seen. He also insisted that Noah's Ark was real. However, unlike the literal biblical account, Noah didn't bring every animal species onto the ark, only a few pairs. The Bible says the ark was 300 cubits long, 50 wide and 30 high, roughly 157 meters long, 26 meters wide, and 16 meters tall. Clearly too small. That's why most have dismissed the story as myth. But Cesar revealed something astounding. The preservation of Earth's animal species actually did happen, but in space. A vast library exists out there, filled with DNA samples from countless life forms. These samples were collected by beings from another star system. Because the Bible was written over centuries, across languages, and full of symbolism, many of its stories are not meant to be taken literally. The tale of Noah's Ark might be one such story. Then why bother building the ark at all, when they could just store DNA? Radu asked, puzzled. Cesar smiled. They only provided support. It was up to humanity to forge its own future. That was part of our destiny. He explained that after the flood, the process of reviving animal populations was initiated by humans and took several decades. But if they were just going to restart life, why destroy everything in the first place? The two officers questioned. Wouldn't it be better to preserve the world as it was? Caesar replied thoughtfully, what may seem disastrous or terrifying from one perspective, might, when seen from a higher plane, be essential. It could even lead to a higher state of existence. The Bible actually offers a clear explanation for the flood. The earth was corrupt before God, and it was filled with violence. People had strayed too far from their original divine form. God grieved and decided to purge the earth. But Noah remained faithful, a righteous man, and so he was chosen to survive. As the seed of a new humanity, charged with guiding the next civilization. Where did the Huns come from? But the young officers had trouble digesting it all. Bridging myth and reality takes time, so they moved to a new topic. One officer noted that the artifact might be linked to the ancient Huns, but something didn't quite add up. Could the Huns have come from somewhere else? The story of the nomadic Huns is indeed legendary. They often appeared out of nowhere, then vanished without a trace. Their first mention in Chinese history was during the era of the Six Kingdoms uniting against Qin. No one knew where they came from, only that they were fierce warriors. But soon, the Chinese realized they had invited a wolf into their midst. The Huns desired the fertile lands of the south, prompting the Chinese to build great walls to keep them out. That's how the Great Wall of China came to be. During the Han Dynasty, the Huns split into two groups. The southern Huns submitted to the Han, while the northern Huns migrated west, and then disappeared. Then, around 370 AD, the Huns suddenly reappeared in Europe, still as fierce as ever. In just 60 years, they established a powerful empire on the shores of the Black Sea. The mighty Roman Empire suffered under their hand. The Western Roman Empire had to negotiate with them, and the Eastern Roman Byzantine Empire even paid them annual tribute. Yet, their empire flourished for only 40 years before collapsing. Their descendants scattered across Eastern Europe and Central Asia. According to Caesar, these sudden reappearances were no coincidence. The Huns' ruling class, the nobility, actually came from another realm, the etheric layer of the inner earth. There are rifts between dimensions near the North Pole, Northern Europe, and Siberia. Through these rifts, they emerged onto the surface world and spread into the Mongolian steppes in Europe. Most common Huns were just conquered peoples, but their elite came from elsewhere. This revelation sparked the officers' curiosity. Where exactly are these rifts? Can we go see them? Caesar shook his head and smiled. Some truths are not meant to be revealed. The German intelligence time portal incident. Still, to satisfy the reader's curiosity, Radu shared a true case of time-space travel, taken from classified German intelligence documents and later discussed with American partners. In Bavaria, there stood a 300-year-old house. The government planned to demolish it for a park, but the owner refused to move. Curiously, no one had ever seen the owner, only their lawyer, who claimed the house was inherited and the owner lived abroad. Officials grew suspicious and involved the police. In April 2005, security cameras captured a man entering the house. He stayed for days, then left, without bringing anything in. What did he eat or drink? Did he fast? After 2 months, another figure appeared. A tall man with brown hair and a small backpack. He entered the house and never came out. For 7 days, no lights, no movement. He had vanished. Meanwhile, across the ocean in Detroit, the FBI was tracking a suspect, matching that description. Tall, brown-haired, unnaturally pale, with no identity records. They'd pursued him since 2003, but he always slipped away. That day he appeared again. Hoping to catch more suspects, the FBI tailed him to a house in the suburbs and set up surveillance. Back in Germany, the intelligence officers decided to investigate. 6 armed agents entered the old house. It looked ordinary. 4 agents reached a hall with a door at the far wall. Suddenly, someone shouted in English from the other side, in a commanding tone. Alarmed, the agents broke the door down. To their shock, they found 3 armed men pointing weapons at them, FBI agents in Detroit. Both sides shouted, "Drop your weapons," until they realized what had happened. The German team had crossed into another country, another dimension. The mysterious man had escaped again. In his report, the German team leader noted it was nighttime and rainy when they entered. But in Detroit, it was noon, sunny, with blue skies. They had literally stepped from night into day. He described a stinging sensation, an electric jolt in his hand, and small sparks, signs of crossing a dimensional threshold. Following the incident, the U.S. established a secret department to study time-space distortions, led by Colonel Finnegan. Finnegan's team classified portals into 3 types. First one, fixed portals, extremely rare and mostly unknown. The old German house was one. Second one, multi-directional portals. Their destinations vary depending on personal traits, time, and weather. The third one, dynamic portals, also called earth wormholes, constantly shifting in size and location. Some theorize the Bermuda Triangle's vanishings may be linked to these. They even created a map showing portal locations, mostly in Iceland, Northern Ireland, Canada, and Alaska. But as always, some secrets cannot be shared.
Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Share it, because some stories are meant to be discovered together. And stay curious. I'll see you in the next chapter.